Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, I want to share a personal testimony with you. I may have shared some or all of it before, but I feel led to share it with you again today. Several years ago, I had the wonderful privilege of participating in a very prestigious event in Atlanta. There was a celebrity speaker and several women-owned businesses were selected to showcase their business. It was quite an honor to even be invited to attend this event. And prior to the celebrity presentation, each business owner was given 5 minutes for a short presentation and elevator pitch, if you will. I was told I absolutely could not go beyond my 5-minute allotment, that I would be very disrespectful to the speaker and the event host. No pressure. Summing up everything about Bread Beckers and what we do in 5 minutes has always been very hard for me. I've struggled over the years to come up with a short description of Bread Beckers and our mission statement to no avail. So now the pressure was really on. I had to finally give a concise and condensed mission statement for Bread Beckers. Over the weeks leading up to the event, to say I struggled might be an understatement. Every time I tried to write out my short 5-minute presentation, it turned into pages. I was truly at a loss. When I shared my dilemma with a good friend, she gave me some very welcomed advice. She told me to pray and ask God to give me one word that would describe what we do at Bread Beckers and then build the rest of my words around that. I thought, what a brilliant idea. Not really sure it would work, but it was definitely worth a try. And so I prayed. Immediately, not one, but 2 words came to mind. I often joke and say that God knows me so well, he knew just one word would not be enough for me. But the words hope and encouragement came to my mind, and I immediately sensed the lack of hope and discouragement that so many people are experiencing today, especially concerning their health issues. Though we live in the wealthiest nation in the world, we have now become one of the chronically sickest nations in the world. We all have friends and loved ones, if not ourselves, facing serious health challenges, or our children just seem to be chronically ill. And so many people have common complaints, such as sinus congestion, bowel issues, acid reflux, that we just accept as normal. And I understand. I have been there. For many years, I struggled with many of the same issues. But in 1991, 33 years ago, I learned of the many health benefits of whole grains and the idea of milling my own flour to make all the bread and real food for my family. Everything changed. Not just my health and the health of my family, but God's call on my life as well. In 1991, through a publication entitled How to Greatly Reduce the Risk of Common Diseases, I learned that whole grains are one of the most nutrient-dense food groups that God has given us, but only when stored whole and intact do they retain their nutritional value. Once milled into flour, oxidation begins and nutrient loss is inevitable. I learned that only when flour is freshly milled and used shortly after milling does it retain all of its valuable nutrients, and that real whole grain flour spoils, and to prevent spoilage, the bran and germ have been stripped away from commercially milled flour. I also learned that prior to the 1900s, most of the bread consumed in this country was made at home. People either had the capacity to mill their flour in their own homes to bake their bread, or communities were often built around the local millers where they could purchase flour that was freshly milled with all the vital components, such as the bran and germ, left intact. I learned that the invention of the steel rolling mills in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that would remove the nutrient-dense bran and the nutrient-dense and oil-laden germ from the flour, leaving only the endosperm, or white flour, made up of protein and starch. The local millers went out of business, and the new, long-lasting white flour became the flour of choice. But with this choice, several particular diseases, such as beriberi, pellagra, and anemia, became epidemic in just a few short years following this great discovery. I also learned that to fix the problem, instead of returning the nutritious bran and germ to the white flour, it was mandated in 1948 that the flour be enriched to correct the nutritional deficiencies of the white flour caused by the removal of the bran and germ. But I learned that this enrichment is not at all a favor the food industry is doing for us, but is instead a replacement of a mere fraction of the nutrients lost by removing the bran and germ. With my background in food science and love of biochemistry and physiology, this all made perfect sense to me, but I was surprised that I had never put these nutritional pieces of the puzzle together before. So in 1991, for my birthday, I received a grain mill, and I began to mill my own flour to make all the breads, muffins, pancakes, and any other baked goods for my young family. I had 5 young children at the time. And this was the only change in our diet that we made, simply adding real bread to the other real foods we were already enjoying. The health benefits from this one simple change, and it really is simple. They were immediate and very noticeable. In the first day alone, I noticed significant increase in my energy, and my lifelong bowel struggles were resolved, never to return now, 33 years later. Over the next month, I saw not only these improvements, but also my frequent headaches were gone, sugar cravings diminished, and to my surprise and joy, my chronic sinus congestion cleared and my dependence on antihistamines ended, and again, never to return. I can thankfully say that I have not taken or needed an antihistamine or a decongestant of any kind since 1991. That freedom in itself is worth it all. Over those first months of our Real Bread journey, I noticed that the health of my children drastically improved. Not that they were a sickly bunch of kids, but now there were no more constant snotty noses, no more frequent ear infections, or catching every bug that seemed to come around. Not to mention that the bread was and is delicious. This was and is a healthy food that my whole family loved. It is delicious and nutritious. And I thank God every day for this wonderful provision. As I shared my bread with others, they too began to notice significant health improvements. They were finding hope and encouragement to health issues that just seemed to remain no matter what they tried. And this is why we began Bread Beckers way back in 1992, and why we continue to passionately share these truths with others, so they too may find hope and encouragement along with renewed health and vitality. And this is why I love hearing and sharing these It's the Bread stories with others, so that when you hear what Real Bread has done for others, you may find hope and encouragement that it can help you as well. Hope is a powerful weapon, but when we lose it, great discouragement can often set in. Several weeks ago, in episode 139, my guest Pamela Hageland from Norway shared her It's the Bread story. She emailed me later that day to share a little more background to her experience, and I want to read her email to you today. Pamela writes, I just want to start by saying that I really loved talking to you, and I hope you got something useful out of the interview. On reflection, I wanted to give you a little more backstory about me that I did not say in the interview, as I did not want to take away from the important point, which is how important I think freshly milled grain is. Over the past 40 years, I've tried just about every kind of diet going around. I have been keto, paleo, vegetarian, and did the Fit for Life thing, just to name a few. I was even a raw foodist for a while, which was definitely not the way to go, as I lost weight but started seeing my health get worse. But I have actually been whole foods vegan for 6 years, not the junk food kind, but a real food kind with none of the ultra processed stuff that is all the rage these days. Why? Because in my late 50s, I was massively overweight, had plantar fasciitis, and lots of aches and pains in my joints and muscles. So 6 years ago, I tried vegan as a last-ditch effort. I lost 50 pounds, and all of my aches and pains went away. I actually found this way of eating, for me, easy, and it's now second nature. I am most definitely not someone who tries to convert other people, and have seen for myself that there is not one single path to health that everyone must follow to the letter. I am actually the only vegan in my family. Everyone else are omnivores, and that is fine with me. But as healthy as I became, I still had the issues that we talked about in the interview. As I said to you, Norwegian store-bought bread is definitely better than store-bought in the U.S., even though it too is not what it used to be. So I've always eaten bread these past few years. It took the nutrition in the freshly milled grains to bring me the missing bit of the puzzle. And for that, I will be forever grateful to your podcast and the work you do. Sincerely, Pamela. It's stories like these that help keep me encouraged to keep on sharing. If you missed Pamela's story, I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 139 of Sue's Healthy Minutes. It is a powerful testimony. Today, as I studied God's Word, I read of the story of Hagar. After the birth of Isaac to Abraham and Sarah, Hagar's son Ishmael began to mock Isaac, so she was sent away. When her provisions ran out, she found herself with her son in the desert, about to die, or so she thought. As she prayed, the Lord spoke to her promises concerning her son. But verse 19 of Genesis 21 says that then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled her empty vessel with water and gave her son a drink. This verse does not say that God created this well after she prayed. The well was already there, but Hagar could not see it because she had lost hope. These stories, your It's the Bread stories, help open the eyes of others to give them hope and to help them see God's amazing provision of whole grains and real bread that are already there for us. I am very blessed and thankful for the call of God on my life. And for me, Bread Becker's is and always has been so much more than just a business. To be able to bring hope and encouragement to others is a real blessing. To hear these stories of healing is too good not to share. And to be able to share these stories, It's the Bread stories now with you, is a double blessing, as those who listen may too find hope and encouragement and healing. In Hosea 11, verse 4, God says to his people, I lifted the yoke from their necks and bent down to feed them. Today, as we enter into a time of expressing our thanksgiving to God, May we remember God's amazing provision of good food to nourish our bodies and how He has lifted the yoke off of us and bent down to feed us. And for all those who share their stories, thank you for the hope and encouragement you bring to others. With a heart full of thanksgiving, may we remember all that God has done in our lives. We truly have so much to be thankful for. His provisions are abundant and perfect. May you be filled with hope and encouragement as well as a heart of thanksgiving. Thank you for listening today. Until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.